Welcome to the CE Pro podcast. I'm Executive Editor Arlen Schweiger. The term audiophile quality has certainly become overused in recent years, so much so that many integrators and consumers aren't even sure what it means today. One audio component that's been snubbed by the high-end aficionados over the years is Class D amplification. When it first came out over a decade ago, admittedly it wasn't really up to snuff, but today Class D is nothing to scoff at. CE Pro editor Jason Knott spoke with Lenbrook's Kus Oostvogel about some of the strides in the category being made by the company's NAD Electronics brand in this week's episode. As always, be sure to subscribe to CE Pro's YouTube channel and hit that like button on our videos, or subscribe to the CE Pro podcast on Apple and Spotify and leave a review.
Hi, Jason Knott with CE Pro, and I am excited to be joined today by Kus Oostvogel, the EU brand manager at Lenbrook International. Hi, Kus.
Hi, Jason. Thanks for letting me be here.
Thanks for joining me today. So we are talking today about audio, high performance audio, and in particular, amplification. Tell us about the new NAD amplifiers, the C700 BluOS Streaming Amplifier and the C399 Hybrid Digital Amplifier.
Okay, to start off with the latter one, the C399. It's an amplifier we are about to introduce. It's not quite available in the shops yet, but that could be within a matter of weeks that you'll see it. And this is an amplifier in the old NAD style, if you like, but behind that front panel, there's quite a bit of technology going on. So this is an amplifier that uses the what NAD call Hybrid Digital Amplification, which is a Class D amplifier, and we know that Class D has been vilified by many as evil work when it comes to sound, and I think it's true that some 10-15 years ago Class D could sound pretty damn poor, but the strides that have been made in the meantime, and once that is really good, rather than sticking to old conventions, NAD embraced Class D once it became obvious that this is the way forward, performance-wise, and also environmentally concerns from the point of view that it's 90% efficient. So this uses Encore, a really high-quality platform with a little bit of our own taste and twist to it. Will give you as much as 180 watts a channel, and that is NAD watts, so that is both channels at the same time within 20 to 20 kilohertz, within the rated distortion, which sits at, from the top of my head, 0.003 or 5, so very low distortion, so what it can do under any circumstance. But it's all nice and well. In the end, it's all about what it sounds like, and in those particular cases, I'm inclined to say, don't believe a word I say when I say it sounds great. You just need to try it out for yourself. And please hook up the very best speakers that you can hook up to it, because it really is an audiophile amplifier in that sense, but none of the prima donna habits that some of these audiophile amplifiers can have. This will drive anything without any issues.
Hearing is believing, as they say. So what about the C700 BluOS?
C7, and actually, if I can come back to the C399.
Sure, absolutely.
One important aspect of the C399 is that it also uses the MDC platform, Modular Design Construction, which allows our amplifiers to be expanded with modules for various purposes. This is a new type of MDC. We call it MDC2, and it allows to do a couple of things that we couldn't do with previous MDC. So at the same time as this amplifier, we will release the MDC2 BluOS D module, which, as the name implies, integrates BluOS with the amplifier. It becomes a full streaming device. And you also can do Dirac with the unit, whereby you even get the microphone packed with the module. So for room correction, and I think most people agree that Dirac is one of the better systems in that aspect. And so from a straightforward conventional amplifier, you can take it up immediately a couple of notches up with streaming and with room correction, which we think is pretty great and pretty awesome.
Yeah, I remember when I first saw the MDC technology, I think it was at a CES show years ago, and I was just blown away. And it was years ago. And so you guys have continued to enable integrators and customers and users to upgrade their systems with that technology, which is fantastic.
If you take our AV receivers, you can take an old NAD AV receiver, let's say the T785 receiver that was introduced in 2007. And through NDC, you can update that model still today to be HDMI 2.0, to have BluOS, to have Wi-Fi, to have Bluetooth, to do Dirac, to do Dolby Atmos, to do DTS:X, whole load of things that we didn't even exist, that we didn't even know would exist when MDC was developed at the time. And so, yeah, we stayed loyal to this program, and that you can still continue to upgrade, I think is a great benefit to all.
Yeah, fantastic. Was there anything else about the C399 you wanted to mention?
Not in particular, other than that it's such a great, nice amplifier. I have a picture ready of the back panel with the slot half sticking out, the slot that I just mentioned, and that looks more or less like this. All being well, you could see it now. So it's pretty plain, straightforward, and there's still a slot left if you wanted to introduce another MDC2 module, which will come over time.
And I'm assuming that's rack mountable for integrators too.
Yes and no. There are, as a separate item, things available whereby you can integrate it indeed in a rack mount. Yes.
Okay, good to know. All right, let's move on to the C700 BluOS Streaming Amplifier. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, first off, it's not rack mountable because it's a very compact unit. And with very compact, I mean pretty compact. And let me show you a nice picture of what it looks like. And there you go. So it's actually in the same type of case as the NAD M10 is, one of our first Just Add Speakers components. And this is also a Just Add Speaker components. So it's an amplifier and it's a full-blown streamer, but you can also connect a CD player and with an additional phono preamp turntable to it, optical input, coaxial input, and a rather interesting feature, it also has HDMI input socket with eARC. So even though it's a stereo component and not so much a surround component, for many people who are perfectly happy with just decent sound out of a TV, not surround with 5 or more speakers, just connect this and you get great sound out of the speakers that you've connected, and still your remote control will operate the thing, so that makes it nice and easy. So sort of unusual, I would think. And in that sense, it's I think it's a pretty unit. It's also very straightforward in the way it works and the way it does. It being a BluOS device, the operating system that it runs on, and that is compatible with Bluesound and many other NAD components for multi-room capability. So that makes it like part of a universe that you can actually do. It's menu driven, and I can share that with you if you like.
Yeah, let's see that interface.
Yeah, okay. So we're going to switch screens here. So as you see it now, it's playing a track, one of my favorite artists, Jeff Beck. And so I can easily skip tracks, and if I press and hold this button, it will bring me into the main menu, and from here I can go into settings, and this is where you can do all sorts of things. So you can in your player select your sleep timer, you can adjust the name, there are tone controls, bass and treble if you'd like them. There is a subwoofer output that you can engage. And if you do, you can actually also adjust the crossover frequency. So this has a proper high pass filter integrated with it as well. which particularly for a compact device where people also would like compact speakers but still get the nice big thunderous sound, are all great things to do. So that's part of what we think makes this a really nice sort of thing. So it's pretty straightforward in the way it works. And of course, these settings are also available in the BluOS app. And it makes it for an easy to control and convenient sort of compact unit, yet it's a compact size. Let me swap back to this here. Yeah, the compact size of the C700 doesn't mean it's a slouch when it comes to musical performance. It can pack a punch, and what many people do is when it's a little amplifier, they'll resort to relatively inexpensive small speakers. I don't have any qualms with small speakers, but let them be good speakers, because this unit really sounds far better than its looks suggest. That I would almost call it like a little a wolf in sheep's clothing, if you like. So add that, two compact speakers, a pretty decent subwoofer, and you get a great little system that sounds fantastic and is easy to use.
I love the industrial design because, as you said, it's not something that somebody wants to hide away. That's something that looks nice enough, and the interface is so great that a customer, I think, would be happy to have that sitting out. And then also, integrators are looking for that wireless option that they can bring high performance to their customer base versus some of the other entry-level solutions that are out there. So BluOS obviously is right in that target range for them.
Yes, and with BluOS you can integrate in many ways. There are modules for most of the CI platforms: Control 4, Crestron, RTI, Push, URC, iPort, LAN, Lutron. All of that is there. And still you also get little convenience features like an IR input or a 12-volt trigger. And at the same time, it is still good old-fashioned IR remote control capable. We don't pack one in the box because it also has a great IR remote learning feature. So if you already have a remote control for your TV and you've got buttons on there that you're not using, you can assign those to do volume and to select source or to select your favorite presets or start your favorite playlist, that sort of thing. Straightforward, convenient, very, very flexible, I would think.
So, Cus, what do you think is the best way for an integrator to be able to bring these solutions to their customers? Is it really something that they've really got to demo and let the customer play with the interface and let the customer hear it and listen to it? Or is there a way to talk about amplification and these audio solutions in some other general way?
No good sound with bad amplification, and no good speaker with bad amplification. So it's pretty crucial that all of that is downright in order. And that is why I think too often people just look at specifications, and sometimes these specifications aren't comparable. I already mentioned the way NAD specifies, that we specify under the worst of circumstances, so to speak, rather than what many other companies do, the downhill, wind in the back, full throttle method, with 10% distortion or with into strange impedances or only at 1 kilohertz, etc., etc. None of that is what we do. What you see on paper is what you really get in reality, and often quite a bit more as well, as we tend to be conservative in the way we specify. Now, that is specifications, and that doesn't tell you all, and the proof is in the eating of the pudding, and that means really listening to it, and that is always the best thing. People have a habit of saying, well, I won't hear that anyway, can't really see the difference, and I think you can make an analogy with wine. If you've only drunken inexpensive, cheap wine, or plonk as they call it in the UK, that is something like $3 a bottle, you will never appreciate how great and how nice wine can taste until you move up and start to experience better bottles and better quality of wine. Um, if you're not into wine, then no problem, just buy that $3 to $5 bottle. But if you indeed taste the difference and enjoy the difference, well, don't sell yourself short and buy that better bottle of wine. And I think the same applies for audio quality and hi-fi as well. So from that point of view, listen to it. And if you can hear how much better you can get, how much more you can hear in the music you thought you knew so well, that's great.
And it's so funny because so many people talk about how the younger generation, the millennials, aren't into music necessarily, but you could make the case that music is more accessible than ever now. You see people walking around with earbuds in and AirPods, and they're listening to music more than they probably ever have, more than you and I had to, where we had to, race home and turn on our stereo system at home. So you've already kind of half the battle in that you've gotten a generation that's into music. Now, as you said, you just got to introduce to them that next layer of quality. So I think they've already drunk the wine, as you said. They're already starting to drink the wine. They just got to get to that next level.
Indeed, and I think it's an interesting development that you see a company like Tidal that started off with higher resolution audio and not really compressed. And then, of course, Amazon followed suit. And now we even have Spotify, who've made the announcement that they're going to go to at least not so much high res, but normal CD quality rather than the compressed format it is now. And I think you can see that younger people, where they were happy with relatively small, inexpensive Bluetooth headsets, are starting to appreciate the quality there as well. So more better quality headsets with better Bluetooth algorithms. All of these sort of things are happening right now. So I think that quest for quality is there, and it's going to get bigger.
All right, fantastic. Cus Ostbogel from Glenbrook International, thanks for joining CE Pro today.
My pleasure. Thank you.